Cool, it looks like we are live. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another video. I'm your boy NarikChase, and in this video, we're doing another exceptional episode of Streamline Podcast, in which we are going to be talking about some interesting ideas that I've had and thoughts and opinions about a new Sonic game. Now, I know I've done a video of Streamline on an open world Sonic game, but in this one is just going to be a Sonic game in general. Some interesting aspects I think they should bring back to the Sonic franchise because, admittedly, though, the Sonic franchise hasn't really bloomed the way it probably should have. So I did come up with a list of a couple of things that I've seen on online, and as well as just off the top of my head, some interesting concepts that I would like to see in a new Sonic game. Uh, First of all, I wouldn't mind the 3D aspect of it, and I wouldn't mind having a 3D open world game. I wouldn't mind that. I love those games, and I think there are certain games that have adapted well to it, such as like Super Mario, from a 2D to like a 3D. Super Mario, Legend of Zelda, Star Fox. I did like the Donkey Kong one. I thought it could have been a little bit better. Sonic feels like it has been having trouble trying to actually adapt to like a 3D game. So I wouldn't mind it being a 3D, but I think they should take a step back and possibly go and look at it from a 2D perspective first. I propose that if they're going to make another Sonic game, do it a 2D slash 3D type game. I'm not talking about like Sonic Generations where you had the traditional 2D on one side and the 3D on the other. No, I mean have it to where it's a 2D style platforming game. Introduce those great 3D elements that we've seen in some really great and stunning looking 2D games that we've had, such as like Dust, Elysian's Tale, Child of Light. There are numerous other ones that I thought actually worked really well as 2D games. So do it like that, but at the same time, which I haven't seen in any of the original ones, like actually have a character interactions that are 3D, that are cinematic, that are like the point and click. Now I know that Telltale closed, but I did like their format towards character interactions. I think that's what they should do now. Yes, bring out a new game that's a 2D platformer, uh, but also when you have more interactions with characters, have dialogue options so that these characters can communicate and you can choose what you say with that. I think there should be some like cool like point and click moments where you can lead a character to do certain search for certain objects in a certain area. I think they should do a best of just combining the two elements. Have elements where it's like, yes, you're a 2D platformer, but in certain sections or whatever, it turns like to a little 3D area, which I think that'll work. Have it to where you can actually interact with characters, have great dialogue with the characters, because a lot of us that play the games don't necessarily follow the anime, the cartoons, don't necessarily follow the comics. So I think this would be a great introduction to having people interact with the characters and getting to know who the characters are. I, for one, am one of those. Like I played some of the games, more of the earlier games, than any of these later ones. Because I played Heroes, I thought that was all right. Shadow the Hedgehog, the first three Sonic games, Sonic Advance, and maybe one other, and that's probably about it. So I think we should do a game where it does a great job, just not just having the cinematic elements, but also making them interactive. Like I said, Walking Dead, Wolf Among Us. Um, what's that? Life is Strange, just things like that. I think that would be one interesting way of making the game a new Sonic game be more interactive than just running across the levels and stuff. Also, of course, I think we should allow there to be different characters, whether you're teaming up, which I need to write that down as well. Let me write that down because that's a good idea. Okay. I think that you should be able to pick multiple characters. Sonic, of course, dominates most of the media that you play on these games like this. But of course, there's Tails, Amy, Knuckles, Robotnik, Sonic. What's the other guy? Crystal, Silver. roads. If you're gonna introduce new 2D platforming Sonic game, it should be a game where it's multiple characters. You should be able to pick from multiple characters. Um, I think also that it would benefit for like exploration wise. Think about it, like Sonic runs and everything. But if you had Tails, Tails can fly. He can be able to go in areas that Sonic can't. Knuckles has his strength. He can dig, and Sonic can dig too. But have Knuckles be able to knock out rocks or something, or climb or something in areas that Sonic necessarily can't get to. So I think that makes for a pretty interesting dynamic. And I think it also changes the way the levels are played each time you play, because one time you go with Sonic and potentially go this one way, Tails another way, uh, Knuckles another way, Amy another way, Silver, Shadow. We're gonna have those characters in there. I think that's an interesting way. Like if you had Silver, I think his name is Silver the Hedgehog, and he has telekinetic powers, so that like he could be able to do stuff with telekinesis and get to areas that other characters can't. So I think that it would be a very interesting dynamic to implement in the game. We have multiple characters you can choose from, and generally unlock as you play the game. So, or if you're not unlocking them in a single, because a lot of times you can play a game and it's pretty straightforward, one straightforward story, and you can pick different characters, but you're still in that same story. But what if you can do that and unlock other stories too, like unlock a Knuckles story, and you can play it as Knuckles, then go back and play it as Sonic, but you're still playing the two different stories that from what original was the original one to the unlocked one, and then you get the Tails story. It's unlocked, but you can play as other characters in that. I think that's also an interesting idea that they could potentially implement into the game. Another one is choices, and I think this goes back to what I was saying about like different characters and different scenarios. If you choose to do a certain action, it will lead you to a different effect in the story, but also change the levels. Like say if you wanted to go left instead of right. If you go left, you go through a totally different stage. You fight totally different creatures. You come against totally different obstacles. You decide that you want to go right, you go to a different stage. Like if you decide to go left, or you go to the oil, that stage with the oil and that weird octopus that keeps jumping out shooting at you, which was freaking awesome. But also you can pick, or if you go right, go to Emerald Hills. So I think that's interesting. I think the choices should be there. If you decide you want to go up, you go to a mountain. You decide to go down, you go to caves. Like that right there, add a bit of diversity, and it allows players to give them a chance to choose how they want to play across the map. And that also would give room for like a ton of maps, because if you get to choose certain areas that you can go, that leaves room for making other maps if you decide to make the choice in the second playthrough or third playthrough with a different character. That's all about options at this point. So uh, making different choices can also lead you to taking different paths, going against different maps. So I think that's definitely a strong point to implement, that to point out right there. I also want to see new characters. Like I said, I haven't really been playing the latest games. I haven't been into the anime, manga, cartoons, or whatever. Excuse me. But I want to see new original characters, and not just. And yes, I do want to see some of the reoccurring, and I want them to put a lot of like. And like I said, if they're gonna do it like an episodic format, which I hope they do, because that leaves a lot of room to and I don't mean like episodic as in wait a few months. I want them to finish the fucking game, but before they release it. But I think they should do it, because those types of episodic games allow you to interact with so many characters, and let's be real, in Sonic games you don't get to interact with characters like that. And Sonic has a large cast of characters. So I think if they had it in an episodic format, you could bring all of these characters into it to make a compelling story. While bringing in new characters, I want to see a new bad guy. We have Shadow at one point. I don't think he's particularly bad now. I mean, you got Eggman, you got Chaos, you got Metal Sonic, Metal Knuckles, and all of them. If there's some more roads, well, I think it's more of like an anti. Uh, but them about the three that come to mind. Those like the few that come to mind on top of my head. Like I wouldn't mind seeing a new bad guy that may potentially have ties to the old bad guys, to Metal Sonic and Robotnik and everything, but maybe a step ahead of them, or maybe have Chaos be the actual bad guy. Be actual tell the original story of Sonic the Hedgehog and the importance of the rings and Super Sonic and all that, which I think they should do that actually. Tell the original story, do like reboot the franchise to tell the original story of Sonic the Hedgehog. Maybe him developing his speed, which I think is actually a good point as well too. Comes to the story, which will allow to introduce new bad guys as well. Well, not new bad guys, new characters as well as recurring characters. So I think that it could be a good opportunity if they did do that. Voice performances, I'm sorry for character interactions. Yes, bring voice performances. I haven't played the most recent Sonic game. I don't know if they have voice performances. If they don't, they suck at this point. But they need to have voice performances, especially if they decided they want to go with character interactions, the dialogue speech, which I think they should do. I'm dead serious for this. They need to bring like these interactions where you get to pick choices with the characters and stuff. I'm going for immersion in the Sonic game, and I have not actually had immersion in the Sonic game like that, where characters actually talk. You actually get to know the characters. But I think, and like I said, with the voice performances, dialogue options, I would definitely like to see the dialogue options. Now, I'm not saying, hey, be a dick or anything like that, but it would be pretty cool to be like, okay, hey, Knuckles, he's like, well, what do you think about doing today? Do you want to race? Do you want to battle? And also, I think they should have like a fighter. Like I want to talk about a Sonic fighting game so bad, but I'm not going to do that yet because I'm going to save that for another day. Maybe the next video because I really want to talk about that. Uh, but have unlockable things too. That's what one thing I want to see. I want unlockable content. I want different skins. I want different weapons depending on the characters because I think Shadow, you like if I'm going on Shadow the Hedgehog the game, which I thought was fun, and he did have access to a bunch of different guns. Or like I would like to see those guns in this. Maybe that's a little bit too much. I'm not sure, but if you're gonna bring Shadow and he uses guns, then yeah, it'd be pretty cool to have different weapons. So I want unlockable skins. I want unlockable characters. I want unlockable scenes. Excuse me. I want bios on characters. Like I want the works. I want unlockable stages. I want race tracks and stuff like that. So I think that'd be pretty cool too. If they did introduce that as a player mode, where I prefer if they had like an AI, maybe have like a 3 to 4 race, like a 3 to 4 character race, whether it be AI, co-op, local, or online, which I think that'll work too, especially for more of the old time fans of Sonic. Bring an actual like versus mode. So I'm all about that. Or even with the versus mode, have like a scavenger type mode where players are trying to either find something or try to get to like another part of the stage or just I don't know, you know. So I think they should have a versus mode in the Sonic game, especially if it's a 2D one, because I think that'll be really freaking cool to kind of have. Uh, yes, but the unlockables on new stages, be able to unlock new characters, new skins, information, possible cheats. And look, I know they on this. If you use cheats, you can't get your achievements thing, which I think is freaking. I think it's cool. I think it's an interesting idea to a certain extent, but you know take but being such a dud, man. But they should be able to have some cheats that probably make you faster. Um, and I think also there should be a buff system. And this is what I mean by like a buff system. You should be able to, if your character has a certain outfit on, or your character has a certain skin on, it comes with a certain ability. If you have this certain ability skin on, such as say Sonic, If you have this certain ability on, it might reduce your speed, but it increases your spin attack. Or if you or it might reduce your it'll boost your how long you have the sonic your supersonic mode, but it might decrease the damage output. So if you are if your knuckles, you might increase your speed, but you might take away from your strength. If your tails, you might increase your speed, but it might take away from how long you can stay up in the air. It's like bits like that. I think will actually make for a very interesting character, and like it allow you to implement certain RPG elements into the Sonic game with which I don't mind that. I don't mind. I think that's actually pretty cool. I think at this point, I think all games should have like dialogue options between, especially if it's character based game. I think there should be some form of RPG element depending on what it is. If it's like Call of Duty, okay, I can understand. Battlefield, I can understand. Um, what's the other one? Army of Two. I can understand games like that. No, but like a Sonic game, uh, maybe a Mario game, Mega Man, which I would definitely like to talk about a freaking Mega Man game, but not yet. Another video. Also, like I said, I went to say a new story, but I wouldn't mind them rebooting and giving him an actual origin story based game. I've seen, and I'm mostly getting these ideas from like episodic games because they do a fantastic job of telling the story. They do a fantastic job of fleshing out the characters, and they do a fantastic job of making character interactions interesting. So we definitely need to bring that to Sonic. Can't just always be him racing around and stuff. Bring something new to the franchise that I think honestly people would like, and I think it would be a blessing to have character interactions in the game. Also, I had talked about it earlier previously, and that's co-op. I, for one, definitely want to see a co-op. None of that crap where it's just online co-op. No, that's for those who just think that. There you go. I want to see local offline co-op split screen. Take it back old school. It ain't gonna kill you. Also, yeah, you can do the online multiplayer, especially when, like I said, racing versus a scavenger hunt type mode. I think that'll work out. When you're playing the main campaign, you can actually have characters interact with each other. Like, say, if you had Knuckles and you had Sonic, have them have like combo attacks or special attacks or something like that. You could have potentially have like Tails lift up Sonic. Sonic drops down and do like a super attack. That'll be freaking cool. Have Knuckles throw Sonic. That's a freaking awesome super attack. Have Tails drop Knuckles. He does like a downward punch attack. That'll be pretty cool. So there's a number of ways you can actually get around to a number of ways to implement two players, and it wouldn't be a problem. And the thing about it is, they made a game like this. It wouldn't be like costly like that. Like this, you can. I think you can make this type of game like less than $1 million. But I don't know how to. I don't know games like that. Sound effects, voice performances, the graphics, the just game controls and all that. Look, I don't freaking know. Just throwing out my ideas right here. But those are just some thoughts for a new Sonic game. Guys, let me know in the comment section below, what are your thoughts for a new Sonic the Hedgehog video game? Do you agree with any of my points? I know I said it should be more episodic, so you have character interactions. It should be a 2D, but it can switch to 3D depending on certain areas and certain sequences, particularly with the character interactions and storytelling. Be able to shift between and pick and unlock different characters who can go throughout the stages. Have choices that lead to different and branching paths, whether it's character based or in the game or the story. Also have buffs so that give people a reason to unlock certain items or give people more options during the gameplay experience. New and old characters, of course. A different story, which I actually root for, like a new origin story. Do a complete retcon and reboot it like they did the Mortal Kombat 9. Take all these games and just put them into one. basically about story, voice performances for the character interactions, dialogue options for the character interactions, of course, unlockable content, and also two-player co-op at both offline and online. Um, Anyways, be sure to hit that like, share, subscribe, and that notification button to get the best of what's going on this channel. And stay tuned, guys, for Sundays and Thursdays. We'll be doing more uploads. We'll catch you guys later.